Good day, Minecraftians. Purple Mentat here, bringing you episode 29 of my Agrarian Skies Hardcore Quest Let's Play. This game pack by Jadedcat is available on the Feed the Beast launcher. Between episodes, I completed half of the Crystal Clear quest in For the Hoarding, getting 10,000 clear glass, and I tore down my smeltery. And it seems to have had a significant improvement on frame rate. I'm rather happy about that. I also filled in this area over here, moved my redstone energy cell, or resonant energy cell over here, and tore down all of my generators, because I'm going to build a big reactor sometime soon. And I better make it very soon, as I'm running out of power. Just wanted to show you real quick, part of why I love this flux-infused pickaxe, and you can see I've got most of my reactor components in my inventory. This thing will tear down buildings quite quickly. And I decided that I wanted to reorganize things a little bit when I was plotting out where I was going to put the big reactor. I didn't like the way things were looking. But yes, this guy enchanted up goes through this little area rapidly. So I'm going to get the rest of this torn down, and then I will be back to start showing you the first bits of big reactor setup. Oh, a couple of other things also. I have more quests complete. When I was crafting all of the big reactors components, which I will show you how to craft before I actually build it, I completely failed to craft yellorium dust and a graphite bar. I never turned those in, so none of the items I crafted counted. Blast. Alright, it's all set up to fix all of that. But I never did claim the reward from building my steel armor, so I'll do that now. Maybe. Huh, it's not allowing me to claim the reward. Well then, let me sort all that out and be back. Alright folks, if you happen to run into this problem where you have a quest that appears to be complete but you cannot claim the reward, there is a solution. Let me just finish grabbing up all of this stuff here. You're going to need to enter creative mode, or at least cheat mode on NEI so that you can use cheat commands. Wow. This is a mess. Okay, that gets things a little bit cleaned up. So, as I was saying, you need to put yourself into cheat mode, which I have this world set permanently to recipe mode. All I need to do is disable that, and I'm in cheat mode, which I use in my test world. And then you can type /HQM space edit, and you will get the Questbook OP edition set to yourself. And my Minecraft name is HefrenCM because I don't own a Purple Mentat Minecraft account. I created this channel and name long after I had established HefrenCM as my everywhere name. Eventually, once name changes are allowed, or if someone randomly decides to buy me another copy of Minecraft, I'll use Purple Mentat. So if I go into the cheat book, I can hold shift and click on quests to automatically complete them or reset their progress. And I'm just going to reset. There we go. And now complete. And now I should be able to toss that book. Oh, you know what? I'm silly. It wouldn't let me claim the reward because I didn't have enough room in my inventory. Anyway, if you do happen to end up in a position where you need to reset a quest because you are, bugged, or they've changed the requirements between versions and now you can't complete it, or let's just say you want to use my world download and catch up with me and be at the exact same point, you can use the that command right there to cheat yourself as far into the quest line as you would like to. So this has been your moment of derp for the day. Now I will get myself out of creative mode, well, out of cheat mode, by setting this back to recipe. And I will, deposit some stuff so that I can collect that quest reward. Yeah, I feel a little silly now. So that gives you a basic reward bag, because steel armor is basic stuff. And wow, that's an okay but not great reward. Actually, a whole bunch of nether fish and night fish and ender fish. That's kind of neat. That'll be very useful for mariculture fish breeding when I get to that point. Hang on to you. And I'm going to collect my stuff back. I'm going to finish tearing down that building, and then I'm going to get started building the reactor on camera. And I will explain all of my choices for the reactor as I go. Back soon. Nice, clean, pristine reset. Also crafted that bit of a heart that I got with the other 3/4 of heart. up to 35 lives. So before I start building the reactor, I may as well show off how to craft it, since I need to do those anyway to complete this quest in steel power. To make the graphite bar, it's a simple case of take a bit of coal or charcoal, which I'm almost out of charcoal, so I'll use the coal, and toss it into a furnace. And that will smelt one piece of each into one graphite bar. I have plenty of yellorium waiting for me, which is good. I'm going to need it. To make the yellorium dust, all you need to do is 1 tin and 1 sulfur. And I've actually set up a recipe to do that on its own. But I also have, I believe, a whole bunch of the tin dust at the moment from the nether tin. Oh no. 63 pulverized tin at the moment. So, yay. And we'll go submit that quest. Yay. I get a reward bag, a yellow heart canister, and a full heart. I also get my choice of 16 yellorium dust, 16 plutonium ingots, 4 nether uranium ore, which I believe ends up being the same as the 16 yellorium, or 16 rutile ore, which is from mariculture. I'm not eager to get into mariculture at the moment, and I know that the plutonium will allow me to make my big reactor even more efficient over time. So I'm going to, reduce my inventory holdings somewhat. I've done all of this work to have better inventory management, and I still am perpetually out of space. But in this case, it's mostly reactor components that are causing my issue. And I will claim this reward. I want the plutonium ingots. There we go. 36 lives. I think I crafted too many of these yellow heart canisters to make this useful. Sure did. So I'll just toss it into the miscellaneous rewards chest. I'm sure one of you guys can use it. And here we go. Use that good bag. Get 64 purple heartwood, 64 rosewood, and 64 amaranth wood, which is apparently heart of wood. More decor. Some very pretty woods here, but nothing that I'm going to be using immediately. Potentially not using at all. And it's dark, and I don't have everything lit up. So I'm going to sleep through the night real quick. And then when I check out the next quest, I'll see that this is going to be all about crafting the reactor components. Hopefully it counted the ones that I've already crafted. So, reactor warm-up. Need to craft reactor casing, reactor power tap, reactor controller, reactor access port, yellorium fuel rod, and reactor control rod. So, if I come over, I will show you all of those crafting recipes. The reactor controller is the heart of the reactor. This is the one block that you directly interface with things. You turn it on and off. You can see all of the stats through it. It's created with diamond, a couple of yellorium ingots, some reactor casing, and some redstone. All of the reactor blocks are created from reactor casing. That's made from 4 steel, 4 graphite bars, and 1 yellorium to make 4 reactor casing. The reactor power tap, this is how you get your redstone flux out of it and into your energy conduits, made with 4 redstone and 4 reactor casing per power tap. I need 3 of them to be able to support the amount of power that my reactor is going to produce. The reactor access ports allow you to pipe in and out the yellorium and plutonium and cyanite. And those are made with a chest, a piston, and 4 reactor casings each. You're going to need at least 2 of them, and I don't think there's any real point to having more. Yellorium fuel rods, they go on the inside, and these are the actual chambers that hold the yellorium fuel while it's being doing its radiation reaction thing. And these are made with some yellorium, some steel, and some graphite. 1 ingot per fuel rod. Each fuel rod must extend the entire height of the reactor and must be topped with a reactor control rod. I'm going to have 5 fuel rods in my first reactor that I build, and yes, there will be more later if I decide that I need more energy. The reactor control rod, which goes on top of the fuel rods, made with 4 casings, 3 graphite bars, a yellorium ingot, and a redstone. And this allows you to moderate the intensity of the reaction. You can tell the fuel rod underneath it to, I'll show you how it works later on, but basically the reactor control rods are let you damp down and run less fast, and that can be very useful to increase efficiency. So, well, you know what? That's going to be too much. Now that I have everything crafted, I get to get a full heart, a reward bag, and I can choose between 16 cyanite ingots, 16 yellorium ingots, and a full heart. I imagine that that full heart is probably rotten, and even if it's not, I'm pretty good on lives. So I'm going to take the cyanite ingots. Cyanite is what the yellorium ingots process into after you expend them for fuel, and then you can process cyanite in a cyanite reprocessor to turn it into plutonium. One yellorium ingot becomes one cyanite, and I think it takes 5 or 6 cyanite. I'm not sure. I'd have to go look it up to make one plutonium. Plutonium can be used as a reactor fuel, and I believe it's just as good as yellorium. Cyanite is only useful to make the plutonium or to craft turbine components. Turbine housings, turbine router shafts, turbine rotor blades are all made from the cyanite. So you have to process a bunch of the yellorium and get the waste components to be able to craft the turbines. Turbines are an even more efficient way of using power than the reactor on its own. We'll get into that later on when I have the materials. So going to use that heart up to 37 lives, and I got an epic reward bag, which gives me 16 magical wood and an enchantment table again. Not super useful right now. The magic wood, well, you know what? I wonder if the magic wood counts as bookcases for the research table. So I'm going to go put a couple of them around the research table just to find out. I don't believe I can move the magic wood after I place it. I've tried, but every time I've tried, it's just broken. So I'm going to back the research table up a bit and put it right like that. Put the scribing tools back on top and set the magic wood down. And I'm just going to build a whole 4x4 little panel of magic wood. Maybe it'll be effective, maybe it won't, but it's worth a shot. Definitely scan that stuff. Lot of cognito, lot of lucrum, lot of vitreous. Very useful. Oh, someone was asking, as long as I'm in my Thumcraft room, about Boots of the Traveler. Now, they've been a bit of an issue for a lot of people because they require that feather-looking guy, which is Volatus, and there is a bug in the version of Minecraft that we have that causes Volatus and Tempestus, I believe, to have the same recipe. So which one you get can be a little bit random. However, you can scan feathers and angel blocks to get the 5 Volatus, which is all you need to learn the Boots of the Traveler recipe. So, getting the thermostatic harness after that will be a little bit more difficult, but you can get the Volatus Essentia just by melting down feathers. So, making the Boots of the Traveler not impossible. So if I come over here and I put, well, what was Volatus? Air and modus into the recipe, I'm getting Tempestus. And before I tried to do the same thing and I got Volatus, so I'm not sure, maybe if I do air then modus instead of modus then air. No, so I have no way of creating more Volatus for myself at the moment. Maybe it's random every time you log in because I definitely got some Volatus one time. Maybe I just got really lucky on that particular version. In any case, this will be fixed in a future version of Thumcraft, and there is a way to get to the Boots of the Traveler by scanning feathers and angel blocks. Also, anything that's made from feathers should have a little bit of Volatus in it, but you're going to need to, you know, test. Arrows definitely don't. They're only Tellum, but maybe the Bibliocraft desks will have them. Maybe the clipboard. I haven't scanned everything. Definitely the air sigil and the sigil of the whirlwind from Blood Magic should have them. So yeah, and maybe the automatic dictionary converter, but you're going to need to get into Mariculture and find yourself some pearls for that. So yes, if you scan your feather and you scan your angel block, you'll have enough to learn the Boots of the Traveler recipe. I'm going to make some of those for myself in the future, but this episode is supposed to be about the big reactors, and I keep getting sidetracked. All right, so I want to build myself a reactor. I want a nice large one that's going to produce at a minimum 20,000 redstone flux per tick. Yes, that's a lot of power, but I'm going to be using all of that and more. So to do that, I've been doing a lot of testing in my test world on exactly how to put the reactor together. And I've settled on a 9x9 reactor with 5 fuel rods being my best first bet. Now, the math on big reactors is quite complicated, and I do not understand all of it. I'm honestly not that good at reading Java code, and I tried to consult a friend of mine who, codes for a living, and he was telling me that a couple of the things that the person who makes big reactors had done were techniques he'd never even seen before. So I'm going to need to consult someone much more experienced than that. Basically what this means is the mod is probably very well coded and very efficient. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what I was able to figure out was that the larger you build your reactor, the more efficient it is, but the more initial resources it costs. And because it requires yellorium ingot to build the reactor casings, you're going to reach a point of diminishing returns where making it bigger is not actually producing more power. So what I mean by this, the default recommendation that I see everywhere is to build a 7x7x5 reactor and to make it to fill the inside with diamond blocks and resonant ender. And I built one of those in my test world, and I looked at what it could do, and it was outputting about 74 million redstone flux per ingot of yellorium. And, that's amazing. That's a ton of power, but it's also just not the kind of efficiency that I'm looking for because I'm crazy. I decided that I wanted to get at a minimum 100 million redstone flux per bar. And I mean, it's just, this is an excessive build. I'm telling you that right now. I've over-engineered this like crazy. So don't feel that you need to do anything approaching this level. I'm finding that I can't count and talk at the same time. It's causing issues. So, yeah, like I said, excessive build. Kind of fun, though, in my opinion. And with it being, okay, so the 7x7x5, that 74 million redstone flux per ingot. I decided not enough. I wanted more than that per ingot. I wanted the 100 million. And to get that, I started scaling up and I started tinkering around and I started exploring different coolant types. And I found that the best coolant was definitely the gelid cryotheum. You don't gain a lot in terms of efficiency using gelid cryotheum over resonant ender, but you do gain something. And for me, I like to over-engineer things. I like to use the absolute best of the best possible. So I'm using the gelid cryotheum for my coolant. Once again, excessive, unnecessary, but it was fun setting up and exploring the nether and getting all of the things that I needed to make the cryotheum without, running myself completely dry of resources or trying to set up a weird sand crafting thing. And that can be part of, enough reason to do anything is just it's entertaining. So, what are the capabilities of this reactor that I'm building in comparison? Well, this reactor is going to produce upwards of 99 million redstone flux per bar of yellorium that I put into it. And that's, a ton of power, and which is really cool. And also, it will, also compared to the 7x7x5, to build the shell of the 7x7x5 takes about 43 yellorium ingots to make all of the casings and everything that you need. To build the shell of this one, that's 9x9x9, takes about 97 ingots. The difference in power production being about 25 million means that I'm going to need to burn about an extra 160 ingots in this reactor, which is going to take somewhere around 11 hours before I'm actually producing a, power profit on using this giant thing as compared to your standard 7x7x5 that gets recommended so frequently. So if you are building your own, unless you absolutely want to do something completely huge and ridiculous that is going to need to run for 11 plus hours just to turn a profit compared to what you could have done, stick with the 7x7x5 that everyone recommends. All right. There we go. Now, the fuel rods going into the middle. You want to keep your fuel rods close, but you do not want them to be right next to each other. And the reason for this is the closer they are, the better they will do on their fertility. But if you have them right next to each other, they won't be able to shed heat properly because a yellorium fuel rod will not input heat directly into a yellorium fuel rod. And you need to keep your heat moving out of your fuel rods into your coolant and from your coolant into your reactor casing. That's where your power is generated, is by heat. And so you need to have each fuel rod touching a block of coolant on all four sides, but you want to have the fuel rods not spaced out. For example, I could have spaced it out there, but that would have caused them to not share radiation between them as easily, which would lower the overall fertility and increase fuel usage without increasing power generated in any way. So that would be bad. I'm going to put the access ports. I'll put them here and here. All right, so I'm going to finish getting this constructed. Won't take me much longer as I'm almost done building this shell. Then I got to fill the thing with the cryotheum. That's going to be a little bit more challenging. Oh, that's a reactor controller. That's why it won't do it. There we go. Yay. And now I'm just going to put a ladder down this side right here so that I can get up and down it easily, because I'm going to need to keep coming back up to the top frequently. Now, filling this entire area with gelid cryotheum is dangerous and a little bit difficult, but I've figured out a couple of good methods for it. First of all, let me come over here and show you exactly what this gelid cryotheum is and does. Grab myself some buckets. Put my drum down. So gelid cryotheum spreads a lot like lava, except it's super cold instead of super hot. And it's a very thick, viscous fluid, so it won't spread, I believe, any further than that. Yes, it will spread 4 blocks from the base. And if I walk into it, yeah, it hurts. It is so super cold that it is actually causing me damage. Not that I can tell the difference between the red and the green, but it does half a heart every, half second or so. So not good. Also, it slows you down significantly while you're in it and makes it really hard to get off the ground. Like, I can't jump very high right now. So I need to not be swimming in this stuff, or, I'll probably die. However, gelid cryotheum has a neat little property that is not shared by any of the vanilla fluids, and maybe not shared even by any of the other thermal expansion fluids. If I put a bucket of gelid cryotheum down in the world, and there is space below it, it will fall until it's all the way down to the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually stand up here, and I'm going to fill in, a little bit at a time until I have every single space full as much as I can. And then I'm going to cut back in, and I'm going to show you how to fill in the spaces that don't have a block right next to them. So, be right back. All right, once you have things mostly full, then it starts getting a little bit more difficult to tell where you need anything. Something obvious like that, where there's just a block missing, you can fill it in without worry about accidentally overwriting something. But over here, things are just a bit of a mess, and it's just not really possible to tell exactly what needs what. In general, the still blocks are the ones you need to worry about, and the blocks that have what appears to be an animation flowing towards it, those are probably full. To double check, you can place a bucket above what you're doing, because the cryotheum flows downwards. Anywhere that the top layer stays full, you can scoop back up, and then place where things fell. And then you can just keep redoing that until it stops falling. Like that. And like that. So almost done here. I've gone through almost all of the 308 buckets. This is a 7 by 7 by 7 area that I am filling with gelid cryotheum. And it requires 353 minus the 35 yellorium fuel rods gets me the 308 buckets of gelid cryotheum that I prepared ahead of time. And I did not make any extras because I knew that as long as I was careful and I double checked everything as I went, I would not use more than I had. So then I can just come back along this path and make sure I scoop up anything that did not get used up. And then I can see that there's flowing blocks pointing at that, so I'm going to put more on top. And it falls. So I'm going to try it again. Oh, that's full now. So almost there. Once I have all of the sides looking, for the most part, like this one does, I'll come back and I will show you how to fill in the empty spaces that you can't get this way. Fantastic. I now have every space that I can access is full of cryotheum. And I can tell because I've seen this before, I've tested it a couple of times, but also you can test for yourself and see that no matter where I place a bucket along the outside or along anywhere that has a block next to it, it stays on top and does not fall down. So let me scoop those back up. Next, I need to fill in the extra spaces in between. And it's also showing off one of the other neat features of cryotheum. Any block that is directly touching a source block of cryotheum will have snow generate on top of it. That was a mistake. That's okay. So to tell what you need to fill in still, you can go by the flowing blocks. And you want to look for that flowing animation going towards a still block, and you want to put a bucket over top of that area. And that'll drain down. And there are about 63 more buckets or so that I need to put into here. I'm going to lose myself one reactor casing, but I need to be able to see. And no, I'm not going, well, I guess I could go in after it using my warp book. Sure, why not? Ow, 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 ow. Oh, seems to be gone. Okay, this was a mistake. That was fun. This warp book, plus this much health, plus, multiple protection pieces of armor, I feel kind of invulnerable. I'm sure that that will come back to bite me sometime very soon. So yep, I'm going to finish filling in the rest of this. And once I have it completely full of cryotheum, I'll come back and show you how I'm going to finish off this reactor. There we are. Everything is smooth and placid now. So I'm going to fill in the rest. But I got to be careful with the builder's wand. If I right click like that, I'm going to fill in a bunch of blocks on top of the gelid cryotheum and delete it. I need to hold shift to crouch and make it only do a single layer at a time. And once I get the... Ooh, I am out of casings in my inventory. Huh. Did I lose some somewhere? Anyway, let me... Oh, yeah. I lost them into my bag of holding. And as I get this last casing placed, the reactor forms. And you can normally tell by the outside edge here taking on a different texture, but everything's covered in snow at the moment. In fact, let me recover some of the snowballs that I made for this by using my shovel. Now, because snow will just form again right up top here, I could now be easily creating snow just by including a couple of oh, I don't know, terrain smashers up here feeding into the input tesseract. Might be an idea. So if I come over here, I can now see that the reactor is completely constructed. It's hooked up to the energy conduits, but because I hooked up the energy conduits before the reactor was formed, I'm just going to give each of these a whack to tell it to reconnect. I'm going to set the reactor access ports. One of them is going to be outlet mode, so that it will eject ingots to pipes and ducts, but will not accept items from pipes and ducts. And I'm going to leave the other one on inlet mode. And I'm going to dump a bunch of yellorium ingots into the reactor to get it all filled up. And I have 6 more ingots than were required to fill up the reactor. You can see it's now 100% full. But I'm not going to start this thing. Well, sure. Let's get it running so you can see the kind of power output that I'm going to be dealing with. And this is not running at its absolute most efficient. If I were to get that temperature down below 1000 degrees C, that would be the efficiency goal. You want it as high as possible while staying just under 1000. However, you can see that it is holding pretty stable at this temperature right now and is using about 0.217 millibuckets per tick, which with 1000 millibuckets per ingot, that will allow one ingot to last 4,608 ticks, which is 230 seconds, or about 3.8 minutes, so around 3 minutes 50-ish. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, point being that it's also producing 21,600 and let's say 630 redstone flux per tick. So that 21,630 redstone flux per tick translates into 99,677,000 redstone flux per ingot. It can hold about 10 million redstone flux in itself, and it is outputting the rest into my 3 redstone resonant energy cells, which can hold 50 million each. Though it seems to be producing faster than it can output, which is a little bit strange, because there's 3 conduits here, and these should be able to accept 10,000 each. Anyway, I'll troubleshoot that off camera. For now, I want to put a system in place to stop this thing from processing when it gets high on energy. So I'm going to deactivate this at the moment because luckily this reactor doesn't lose an awful lot of efficiency by activating and deactivating. Some setups of big reactors can, this one does not. And I'm going to come over to my little factory room here, which I really need to rebuild the door. I've been a little sloppy lately because I've been trying to get things done. I want to build myself the programmable RedNet controller from Minefactory Reloaded. And to make the programmable RedNet controller, I need to make a programmable RedNet controller housing and combine it with those materials. Housing is just some iron, some plastic sheets, some glass, and some redstone. So not that difficult of a recipe. And to go along with that RedNet controller, I'm going to need from Big Reactors the Reactor RedNet port, which is made with gold, reactor casing, and RedNet cable. I believe I have everything except the reactor casing for that in my system. And now I'm going to go attach these to my reactor and show you how to set up a very simple this allows for really intense control of the reactor and would require a lot more tutorial than I have the patience or knowledge for. So I'm going to break that, put that guy in, reactor reforms, some cryotheum spills out and goes everywhere for certain values of everywhere. Now the reactor port, very complicated setup. You can output to any of the colors that RedNet cable accepts, and you can have it set to output by energy amount, by waste amount, by fuel mix, meaning this right here. If this thing is not set to auto eject waste, the fuel mix will slowly decrease until you no longer have 100% full, and it'll get more and more depleted, and it will cause the reactor to be less and less efficient over time. You can also have it output redstone signal based on casing temperature, based on fuel temperature, The casing temperature determines how much redstone flux per tick it's creating. The fuel temperature has an effect on fuel usage. When the fuel temperature gets over 1000 degrees C, the fuel usage increases to continue producing. So that's a bit of an issue. It causes less efficiency. So you could program this thing to make sure it's always as close to 100% efficiency as possible by setting the output on fuel temp and then configuring the controller. I don't know what the input eject... okay. So this input eject waste means that when it has redstone coming in, it will cause it to eject waste. Input change control rod insertion. This will change the level of the control rods based on what level of redstone it gets, and toggle reactor on off. If it receives any incoming based on that, it will just turn the whole thing off. So I'm going to output energy amount on white, and I'm also going to set it to input the control rod insertion on black, and I need to click commit. I want this to do all of the control rods at once. So now it will output a redstone signal based on the percentage energy amount, and it will input a input redstone signal will adjust the control rods based on the strength of the signal. So now I'm going to set up my programmable RedNet controller underneath. This is a very complicated block, and I'm using it for a very basic utility. If you want to know more about the block, make yourself the PRC owner's manual from plastic sheets, redstone, and a book. This will have 39 pages worth of information that will tell you everything there is to possibly know about the programmable RedNet controller and all of the fun things you can do with it. I'm going to hook up one RedNet cable going into the top out of the RedNet port. And I'm going to open up my programmable RedNet controller, and I'm going to use, oh, look, it saved its configuration. That's fantastic. So I'm going to use the maximum to input, and I'm going to set to in, out, up, because it's based on the facing. And I want, it will accept signal from the up facing on the white channel and send out that facing on the white, going up on the black channel. And you can left and right click to change things around. Unfortunately, this is not set to colorblind mode by default. Black and white are right next to each other, and those are two that are hard for me to mess up. So now it's accepting the white signal on top and outputting the black signal on top, which, with the current energy being 0, the control rods will not be inserted at all. But if I activate this reactor, once the energy buffer gets even 1% full, it will start to insert the control rods and reduce the reaction strength. You can see that the redstone flux per tick is now automatically reducing itself because the reaction strength is being reduced based on how full the energy buffer is. And eventually it will get down low enough that it's only producing what I'm draining off of it at any given time. Right now I'm not draining very much redstone at all. The cooler it runs actually makes it less efficient, but it's better to, not be running it when I don't need the power. I'm wondering if this will end up capping out or if it will actually get down low enough, because I don't know if it even can, since I'm not using that much at the moment. This is really exciting. I mean, it's so simple to set up Big Reactor that automatically regulates its own power production. Still gaining, but very slowly. So I'm using a tiny fraction of the potential output of this reactor right now. If I go up top and I take a look at the control rods, they are 98% inserted. You can control these manually, either by left or right clicking, or I believe shift left and right click. No, just left and right click is your only option. And that'll move it by 10 at a time. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to reactivate my system and get everything running again, because now power is no longer an issue. Turn my default back on and turn my spawners back on. Now, producing more yellorium is a minor issue, but all of that mining in the nether got me almost 4,000 sulfur. So I'm just going to tell it to make me another stack of yellorium dust. And I can do that while I'm busy. Because it needs to grind up the tin for each of that, and, you know, that takes a few seconds each. All right, seems to be finding equilibrium around 2,000 redstone flux per tick, maybe a little less. Anyway, so there you have it. Automatically self-regulating big reactor. Next time, I'm going to set it up to automatically refuel itself, and I'm going to build myself a machine that's going to use most of the maximum output of this big reactor. And that'll be the world download. Unfortunately, that also means it's time to retire the ore system upstairs. I know that I said I was going to, you know, finalize it and make it as the maximum possible efficiency, but the bottom line is I just didn't need to. I've reached a point that, you know, I have enough materials. I no longer need this ore system at all. And I'm about to build myself a better way of producing ore that doesn't have a bunch of item entities flying around in the world all the time, screwing with my FPS. So, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you're enjoying the series so far. As I said, next time, new, big, very power-hungry machine. And please, if you are enjoying things, like, comment, subscribe. Oh, look, I got a little slime. Wonder where he came from. There's also a creeper over there that was in my trees, and it looks like a skeleton up top. So I need to get things lit up. Yep. Whoops. See you next time.